Hello and welcome to this air dry clay jewelry course for beginners. In this course I will show you how you can create beautiful jewelry items using air dry clay and how you can decorate them using brushes and different colors. As you can see, you can create very beautiful color combinations for your jewelry. And you can use different tools to ornate the jewelry you make out of air dry clay. I will also talk to you about different tools necessary for creating jewelry items, for example these cutters. I will also tell you how to apply colors using brushes or sponges or other items used for applying colors. I will tell you how to protect your jewelry and to make it more shiny and more beautiful using gloss varnish. And you will see step by step how you can create those necklaces. I will explain to you how you can cut the jewelry, how long you have to leave it to dry, how you must check every now and then if the drying process is happening correctly, because if the items do not dry correctly uniformly, there can be a deformation in the shape of your items, and there can be situations where cracks appear in the surface of your items, and I will explain to you what you have to do in such situations. You can protect your jewelry, as I said, by applying gloss varnish, and it will protect your jewelry, your finished jewelry, from humidity, because air dry clay has the tendency to absorb humidity very easily and then it can lose its shape. I will also show you different techniques of applying the color to your jewelry items so that you can create very beautiful decorations on your jewelry items. So with some very simple tools you can create beautiful abstract designs to ornate your jewelry. And when you combine the colors, you can also think about the clothing that you intend to wear with this jewelry, so that you can combine the colors according to the color harmonies, but also according to the clothing that you want to wear with these jewelry items. So in the next lessons I will show you step by step how to practically create these jewelry items. I will begin by taking a bit of the clay . And I will knead the clay a little bit so that it becomes softer. The second step is to create a layer of clay that should be even as thickness, and in order to establish how thick the clay should be, you can use these popsicle sticks, and you can use, if you want to make pendant or a pair of earrings that is this thick, you can use two of these popsicle sticks, one on this side, one on the other side. If you want to make a pendant that is as thick as two popsicle sticks superposed, you can simply use two popsicle sticks on one and on the other side of the clay, and then using a roller you can create the surface of the clay for your pendant or earrings. This way. And now, in order to create the pendant, I will take one of those cutters and cut out the shape of the pendant that I want to create. I will remove, let's take the knife, the cutter, and remove the outside clay. This way. As you can see, the edges of the clay have these irregularities. So as you can see, this type of air dry clay is a paper-based clay. But there are other types of clay that do not have paper in their composition. So I have made the edges look less irregular. Like this. So as you can see, now the edges are smooth. And now I will create a small hole in the pendant so that I can hang the cord in order to make a necklace. So as you can see, you can create cutters out of ordinary household items. In this case, I have just taken the top of a toothpaste and I will cut a small hole in the pendant, like this. Now I will remove the pendant from the surface and I will try to make the edge of the area that I cut also look smooth. It should have no cracks or irregularities because it will be visible on the surface while you're wearing it. Like this. And now I will let the pendant dry. Usually it should be dry in about 24 hours. If you see that it is not dry yet, depending on how thick the pendant is, it may need up to 48 hours of drying time. It is always good to place it in a ventilated place, and it should be placed on a surface that allows the object to dry from both sides. So if you can put it on a grid, on a metal grid, it can dry out both from the lower part as well as from the upper part. When it dries out, it starts shrinking. So this shrinking process can lead to deformation, especially if the pendant is thinner, the deformation will be more visible. If it is thicker, the deformation is not so visible. But it can also lead to cracks, the appearance of cracks on the surface of the pendant. If you notice that it has started deforming or getting cracks, you can add some slips. The slip is water mixed with clay. And you can add some slip on the surface. This will make the pendant damp again, and you can shape it again to be uniform. If you notice that it was deformed, you can make it uniform by making it damp again. You can use a piece of cloth, for example, to put a wet piece of cloth that you can put over the item, and that will make the item damp again. And you can reshape it. And if you notice cracks on the surface after drying, you can just take some water and clay, make the slip, which is a very thin layer of clay that can be applied on the surface of the item to cover all the cracks, and then you let it dry again. So now let's let the item dry, and after it has dried we can add the color and then the gloss. And after the color and the gloss have dried, we can add the cord, the black cord, in order to create a necklace. And now let's add the colors. So I will begin by adding one of the colors to the pendant. I will begin by adding the gray color. I'll also add it to the margin of the pendant. This way. I will wash my finger. Now I will add some black color. This way, and I will add the third color, white. This way, and now I'll add the last color. which will make the pendant look a bit shiny. I'll put some golden color on the pendant. This way. And then I can let the pendant dry. After it dries, I can add the gloss varnish, which will protect the clay from humidity on the one hand, because the air dry clay tends to absorb water and it becomes moist again, and it loses its shape. And on the other hand, if I add the gloss varnish, the pendant will look shinier and more beautiful. Now that the pendant is dry on this side, I will also cover the pendant in a layer of gold on the back, so that it has a uniform color. This way. And now the pendant is covered in a uniform color on both sides. And I let the color dry again. And now that the color has dried, I will start applying the gloss varnish. I will apply 2 layers with a period of 4 hours in between applications. I will apply it on both sides of the pendant, and the gloss varnish will protect the item from moisture, and it will also give the pendant a beautiful and shiny look. It is very important when you apply the varnish to always have some water around in order to keep the brush moist. This way. Now I will let the pendant dry. And now that the gloss has dried, I can create the necklace. I will add the cord. And this is what the finished pendant looks like. I will use this air dry clay in order to make a necklace, and I will use a cutter to create the shape of the necklace. I will use 2 popsicle sticks so that the surface of the pendant I create is even. So there won't be a part of the pendant that will be thicker and another part that will be thinner. The entire surface will be as thick as those two popsicle sticks that are superposed. With the roller, I will create the surface of the clay, and now I can remove the popsicle sticks, and with the cutter I will cut the shape of the pendant. Now I will remove the extra clay and I will lift the cutter, and as you can see here, the edges are not smooth. So I will make the edges smooth. As you can see here, there are traces of paper on the edge of the pendant, which means that this type of air dry clay is a paper based clay, this way. And now, in order to create the necklace, I will have to use a cutter to create a hole in the pendant so that I can add the cord. I'll make sure that the hole that I create is symmetrical, like this. So as you can see, you can use as cutters also household items. For example, this is the top of a toothpaste tube. So beside the cutters that you can buy online, you can also make your own tools. This way, now that I have cut the hole for the cord in the pendant, I will put the pendant somewhere to dry for about 24 hours. After 24 hours you can check if the pendant is dry enough. If it is not, you can leave it for another 24 hours so it can dry out in a maximum of 48 hours. And after it has dried, you can start painting your pendant. I will now add some color using the sponge. Now I will wash the sponge and then add another color. I will add Prussian blue. Now I will add another color, but in a smaller amount. I'll add a little bit of green. And another color. A bit of white. I will add some gold. And on the back of the pendant I will also add some gold. So that I cover the entire surface with color and there are no areas without color. And now I can let the pendant dry and then I will apply the gloss. Now that the pendant has dried, I will apply a layer of gloss varnish using the brush. I will keep the brush moist all the time using some water, and I will apply at least 2 layers of varnish in order to protect the item from moisture, but also to give it a beautiful shiny look. The time in between applications is 4 hours. So now I have applied the first layer of varnish and I will let the varnish dry for about 4 hours. Now that the gloss has dried, the pendant is finished and I can add the necklace. In order to add the necklace, I will simply attach the cord to the pendant. And this is what the finished necklace looks like. So this is the finished necklace. I will use this piece of air dry clay to create a pendant. I will first of all make a sphere. Like this. And now I will take this cup and press on this sphere. So that I have created this round shape. Which I will pierce in the middle with the dotting pen. Let's turn it on the other side. So I will make the orifice in the middle larger so that I can pass the cord through the center of the pendant. Like this. And now I will let the pendant dry and I will add the colors. Now the pendant has dried and I will start applying the color. I will begin by applying the first color. I will apply some neon yellow. I will continue by adding some neon orange. Then I will add some neon pink. And the next color, some neon green. And the last neon color, the neon blue color. And now let's finally add the very last color, some gold. And I'll also add a bit gold. A bit of gold on the other side. And now I will let the pendant dry. Now that the colors have dried, I will apply the gloss varnish, the acrylic gloss varnish. I will use a brush that I will keep moist all the time by using some water, and I will apply at least 2 layers of varnish with a time of application in between the layers of 4 hours. The varnish will protect the clay from moisture, and it will also make the clay look shiny. Now that I've applied the varnish, I will let the item dry. Now that the gloss has dried, I will create the necklace. I will attach the cord. And the necklace is ready. So this is what the finished necklace looks like. I will use some clay in order to create a pendant that I will ornate. With 2 popsicle sticks and a roller, I will create an even surface of clay, and I will be able to cut out of this even surface of clay the shape that I want. I will cut the shape with the cutter. I will remove the clay from all around the cutter. I'll lift the cutter and I will take the pendant and make sure the edges are smooth. Now I will take the cutter, this metal cutter. You have to be always very careful with this type of cutter because it is very sharp and you can injure yourself. And I will cut this edge off. This way. And now I have created this shape. And now I will cut out a hole for the pendant this way. And I'll put this bit of clay to dry, and later I can add the colors. Now that the pendant has dried, I will use the sandpaper to make sure the edges are all smooth. And I will start applying the color. I will start with applying sienna. I'll also apply it on the edge of the pendant. I will wash the sponge. I'll continue by applying some black color. And I also apply it on the edge of the pendant. And now I'll apply another color. I will apply white. And I will let the colors dry, and after they have dried I can cover the pendant with gloss varnish to make it more shiny, but also to protect the pendant from humidity. On the back of the pendant I will apply some color to give more shine to the pendant, and also a uniform look. I will apply some copper color. This way. And now I will let the pendant dry. Now that the item has dried, I will start applying the varnish, which will protect the item from moisture and will make the item look more shiny and beautiful. I will apply it with a brush, and I will keep the brush moist all the time by having some water around. I will apply at least 2 layers of varnish with a time of 4 hours in between applications. Now I will let the varnish dry. Now the gloss has dried, and I will attach the cord to make the necklace. Like this. So this is the finished necklace. So this is what the finished necklace looks like. I will use this clay in order to create a pendant, and I will also use the dotting tools. First of all, I will create the surface of the pendant, which I will ornate with the dotting tools. I will use 2 popsicle sticks. So I've used these 2 popsicle sticks to create an even surface of clay. And now I will use the cutter to make the pendant. I will remove the excess clay. I will make sure that the edge of the pendant is even. Is smooth, like this. The next step will be to add a hole to the pendant so that it can be hung. So this is for the cord of the pendant. And now I will take the dotting tools and create, using some water, I will create the ornamentation of the and now I will use a smaller dotting tool and an even smaller. So in order to prevent the clay from sticking to the dotting tool, I will I'll put the tool into some water. And now I will use the smallest dotting tool and now I will let the pendant dry and I will add the color. And now that the pendant has dried, I will use the sandpaper to make sure that the edges are smooth. And now I will apply a layer of color to the surface of the pendant. I will apply a layer of black color. On all sides. Including inside the cord orifice and on the back of the pendant too. I will add, I'll cover the margin of the pendant as well. And now I'll apply the color on the back of the pendant so that the entire pendant has uniform color. this way, and now I will leave the pendant, the color, to dry. And after it has dried, I can continue adding the second color on the surface of the pendant. Now that the black color has dried, I will add the second color on the surface of the pendant. I will add silver. And now I will also add the silver color on the sides of the pendant, on the margin. Like this. Now I've covered both sides of the pendant as well as the margin in silver, and I can let the pendant dry. After it has dried, I can add the gloss varnish, which will protect the pendant. On the one hand, it will protect it from humidity because the clay absorbs humidity very easily, and the pendant can lose its shape, change its shape due to the humidity. On the other hand, the gloss varnish will make the pendant look shinier, thus more beautiful. Now the pendant has dried, and I can start applying the gloss varnish to protect the clay from moisture, and also to make the surface shiny. I will always keep the brush moist by using some water, and I will start applying. I will apply at least 2 layers of varnish with a time of in between the applications of 4 hours. Like this. Now I will let the surface dry for about 4 hours, and then I can apply the second layer. Now that the gloss has dried, I will create the necklace by adding the cord. this way, and this is what the finished necklace looks like. To show you how you can create jewelry items using air dry clay. I will show you how to paint your jewelry items to add the colors to the jewelry items that you're making. I will show you how to cut the clay into different shapes and how to ornate them. You can make necklaces in the shape of animal teeth or animal claws, or you can use different cutters. For example, these cutters are used to cut out different shapes of the clay in order to make pendants out of them. I will also talk to you about the different tools necessary to attach jump rings, for example, to the jewelry, like for example pliers, jump ring openers. For the cord you will need a pair of scissors to cut the cord in order to make the necklace. And when you want to apply colors to your jewelry, you will need brushes and other items such as, for example, this sponge. So in this video I will show you how you can use all these tools, how you can use findings, how you can use colors, and also how to protect your jewelry by adding varnish. I have added some gloss varnish to make the jewelry look more shiny, but also to protect it from humidity, because air dry clay absorbs humidity very easily. And I will show you how to make these jewelry items step by step. I will use some clay in order to make a pendant. I will use these popsicle sticks so that the surface of clay that I create is even. And now with a roller I'll create this even surface. And now I will take the cutter and cut out the shape of the pendant. I will remove the extra clay. I remove the pendant, the cutter, and I'll make sure that the edges of the pendant are smooth. And now the next step will be to create a hole in the pendant so that I can add a cord. This way. Now I can put the pendant away and let it dry. And after it has dried, I can add the color. Now that the pendant has dried, I will use the sandpaper to make sure the edges are smooth and the surface is smooth. And now I can start applying the color. I will begin by applying the first color. I will start with blue. I will continue by applying another color. I will also apply some green. This way, and now I will wash the sponge. I will also add some yellow. And now I will add the last color. I will add some gold color. And the golden color will make the pendant look shinier. And now I will turn the pendant on the other side and cover the back of the pendant with some gold color as well. This way, and I'll let the pendant dry. Now the color has dried, and I will start applying the gloss varnish, the acrylic gloss varnish, to the surface in order to protect the surface from moisture, but also to give it a more beautiful shiny look. In order to apply the gloss varnish, I will use a brush that will always be kept moist with some water. I will apply at least 2 layers of varnish to give it a more shiny look, and the time in between applications will be about 4 hours. So I have applied the first layer of varnish. I will let the item dry for about 4 hours and then I can apply the second layer. Now that the pendant has dried, I will attach the cord and create the finished necklace. This way, and the pendant is ready. The necklace is ready. So this is what the finished necklace looks like. I'll use some air dry clay in order to create a pendant. I will put 2 popsicle sticks so that the surface of the clay is even. So I will use this roller to create an even surface of clay. And now with the cutter I will create the shape of the pendant. I will remove the extra clay. I will lift the cutter and I will make sure that the edges of the clay are smooth. This way. And now I will cut out a hole through which I will put the cord. I will make sure that the edges of the clay are smooth and I will let the clay dry, and after it has dried I will start painting it. Now that the pendant has dried, I will use the sandpaper to make sure that the edges are smooth. And now let's start adding the color. I will begin by adding the first color. I will first add the red color. I will also add it to the margin of the pendant. Now I will wash the sponge in order to add the second color. I'll also add the color to the margin of the pendant. Like this. Now let's add the third color. I will add some white color. I wash the sponge again and then I will add the final color. And let's add the final color. I'll add some gold. This way. And now I will turn the pendant on the other side and I will add some gold color on the back of the pendant. Like this. And I will let the pendant dry. And then I can add the gloss varnish. The gloss varnish will protect the pendant from humidity because air dry clay absorbs water very easily, and the pendant will become soft again and will lose its shape if it absorbs water. Therefore, when I will apply the gloss varnish, the gloss varnish will protect the pendant from humidity. On the other hand, the varnish will also give very beautiful shine to the pendant, and therefore it will make the pendant look more beautiful. Now that the color has dried, I'll start applying the gloss varnish, the acrylic gloss varnish. I will always have some water around in order to keep the brush moist. And I will apply at least 2 layers with a time of about 4 hours in between applications. And now I will let the first layer of gloss varnish dry, and in about 4 hours I'll apply the second layer. Now that the clay has dried, the pendant is ready, and I will create the necklace by attaching the cord and now the necklace is ready. So this is what the finished necklace looks like. In this lesson I will show you how to make a pendant using clay. I will take 2 sticks to make sure that the entire surface of the clay is equally thick, like this. And now I will take a cutter. I will use the roller to cut the clay, and now I will remove the excess clay. I will make sure that the edges of the clay of the pendant are smooth, and for that I will take some water and make those edges smooth. And now I will create a space where I will add the ring for the necklace. And now with a toothpick I'll make this space a little larger so that the jump ring can go through the pendant. Like this. And now I'll put the pendant to dry. And after the pendant has dried for about 24 hours, I will start painting the pendant. And then I will make a necklace using this pendant. I will start by making sure the edges of the pendant are smooth. I will use the sandpaper to make the edges smooth. And now I will start adding the colors. I will add some neon yellow. I'll also add the color on the side of the pendant. Now I will add a second color. neon orange, I'll also add some neon red, some neon pink, neon green, and the final color that I will add will be some neon blue. This way. Now I have added the colors and I'll let the pendant dry. And now the colors have dried and I will apply the gloss varnish. I will use a brush that I will keep moist by dipping it into some water, and I will apply at least 2 layers of gloss varnish with a time of in between the applications of 4 hours. This varnish will protect the clay from moisture and it will also give it a beautiful shiny look. And now that the gloss varnish has dried and the necklace is ready, I will assemble the pendant. I will take a jump ring and I will use some tools to open the jump ring. I will use a jump ring opener and a pair of pliers, of chain nose pliers. I will open the jump ring like this. I will put the jump ring through the pendant and then I will close the jump ring. Like this. And now the pendant has the jump ring attached, and I will add the necklace. This way I have added the necklace. And this is the finished necklace with the pendant, the clay pendant. So this is what the finished necklace looks like. Now I will show you how to make a tiger claw pendant. I will use white clay, air dry clay, to which I will add some water to make it softer, and I will condition it in order to mix the particles in an even manner throughout the clay, so that the clay will be more resistant. I'll create the tip of the claw, like this. I'll try to remove all the cracks on the surface of the clay. And now I will create the surface of the upper part of the claw. It should have a porous surface. Like this. And now I will create the hole independent so that I can hang it on a cord so that I can make a necklace out of it. If I put water on the needle, then it will prevent the clay from sticking to the needle. Like this. And the pendant is ready now. Now I'll put the pendant to dry, and then it is ready to be painted. Now that the tiger claw pendant is ready, I will start adding the color. like this. I've covered the entire surface. Of the tiger claw. And now I'll let the claw dry. And then I can add the gloss. Now let's cover with gloss the claw. Now the claw is covered on all sides. Like this. So the claw is covered. I'll put it to dry and then I can make the necklace. And now the tiger claw pendant is dry, so it's ready to be turned into a necklace. I'll take the black cord, put the cord through the pendant this way. I'll find the middle of the cord, and now I will take the one end of the cord and put it over the other end of the cord, and then I'll bring it back until I create a loop this way. Through this loop I'll put the end of the cord like this, like this, and I made a knot. And I make another knot here. This way. And the cord is ready. The necklace is ready. So as you can see, it's very easy to make a necklace, a tiger claw necklace. You just need a piece of clay and some cord. Now I will create a pendant decorated with runes. I will take a bit of air dry clay. And in order to create the shape of the pendant, I will use those sticks so that they will limit the thickness of the clay that I will roll out with the roller. This way. And now I will start cutting out the pendant. I will use this cutter in order to cut out the shape of the pendant. I will remove the extra clay. And now I will use the cutter in order to shape the pendant more precisely. I will cut out the hole for the cord. Now I'll remove this other part of the pendant. And I'll try to make the edges smooth. Create the runes. This would be one of the runes. Now let's create a second rune. This would be the second rune. And now let's see the last rune. Now these are the 3 runes. And now I will let the pendant dry. And once it's dried, I can add the color. The pendant has dried now, and I will cover it now in color. Before I do that, I will take the sandpaper and make sure that the surface is smooth and the edges are also smooth. And now I will take some color and I'll cover the entire pendant with color. And now I can let the pendant dry. I will also add silver to the incisions so that the entire pendant looks like as if it was made of silver. Now that the color has dried, I will start applying the acrylic gloss varnish to the surface to protect the clay from moisture and also to make it more shiny. For that I will use a brush. I will keep the brush moist by using some water. And I will start applying the varnish. I will apply 1 layer of varnish, and after about 4 hours I will apply a second layer. And now that I've applied this layer, I will let the pendant dry. And now that the pendant has dried, the rune pendant has dried, I will attach the necklace. This way, and this is what the finished rune pendant looks like.